On a podcast where they had another guest that was going to grill you.
Yeah. Someone had really betrayed me. Someone who I thought was a good friend, somebody I trusted. It really upset me. Know where it came from or how it happened. Thousands of comments in our live videos, all negative, all derogatory, attacks on our own followers. And so then I got really upset and I made that video, and my whole team was counting on me to make a good response video. My wife and my kid were counting on me to make a good response video, and I failed. I didn't make a good video.
Wes Huff has been on my radar long before the shenanigans with Billy Carson. He's been getting famous overnight for debunking some very, in my opinion, low-hanging fruit that Billy Carson puts out there about the so-called Sinai Bible, which anyone can just go look up themselves. It's the Codex Sinaiticus. It's just a regular Christian church Bible. However, he completely misrepresents me here. So I saw a side of, I was introduced to Wes with a side, to a different side of Wes than what people are being introduced to him today. People are being introduced to him today as this heroic defender of the truth against misinformation.
Right.
However, I think Wes arguably is pushing just as much misinformation.
I mean, I knew that if I let him talk, he would bury himself.
And the truth shall set you free.
I think Billy's a great guy.
I don't believe you.
It's just so ridiculous. So, one of the reasons why I had no qualms asking him the questions that I did and revealing his ignorance was because he goes around saying this.
He's alluding to sorcery is what he's doing right now.
Most people are aware of the story from the Exodus where the 10 plagues inflicted on Egypt have finally resulted in Pharaoh letting the slaves free, and the Israelites making their way out of Egypt reach an impasse at the Red Sea. This is just one of many stories in the Torah of Moses using his staff to perform a miracle.
Your scar is legend, as of course is the wizard who gave it to you.
Voldemort killed my parents. He was nothing more than a murderer.
You must be very brave to mention his name. Or very foolish.
Modern Jews today still won't say the divine name and instead often say Hashem, the name. In this way, many modern English translations follow that tradition. If he's this wrong on this, it just casts a complete shadow on everything else he's talked about. It just casts a complete shadow on everything else he's talked about.
Care about you, me, or scholars.
No.
Or the critical audience. We don't matter. They care about the flock, the sheep that are already there. They just, how do I keep what I have built? Because this damage could, we messed up. We lost this whole debate. We messed up. We're done for. We were imploded. Our castle is to the ground. How do we keep what we still have left? So what? They're literally lying to their audience. That's why he took the video down, people. He took the video down because that video was embarrassing. It's not about him misrepresenting me. It's about the mistakes he made. The endless. Can we count how many mistakes he made in that video? I can't.
There's a lot.
It's designed to uphold the dogma. It's the sad truth about religious studies. There is so much in religious studies, so much funding that goes into it from churches and mosques that is designed to uphold the dogma, to keep sacred history alive.
Yeah.
And then it's used in political situations, then it's used in wars. It goes all the way up, it floats all the way up to the top.
Right.
It does.
So here, let's
It's like a gas. It just floats up.
I think this is an important point that you and I should probably address, because someone goes, okay, dude, you've poked holes, you're jabbing, you're critical, you're doing nothing but destroying these narratives. You're tearing down these apologetics. What then? Well, that's where the fun begins, because now we can actually explore this stuff without the dogma. And Neil, let me ask you a question. How fun is it to you when you find out, example, that Homer's Odyssey and Iliad, much of it is orally done by people who've been quoting it and regurgitating these narratives since the Bronze Age, that it had an earlier mythic trope in the Hittite traditions, and that the Greeks are actually influenced by earlier storytellings of a giant war of a great city from the Hittites, and that the Greeks ended up hitting.
Hittites and Ahiyawa.
What does that do to your brain?
Homer calls them the Achaeans. But if you went back to the Bronze Age, you would hear Ahiyawa.
What does that do to you when you think about and you see that?
I love it.
But it's not a dogma.
No.
Like, you can freely just enjoy this stuff, and there is no stipulations, no group
It's
thing.
easier to enjoy when you don't have dogma.
You're having a blast now.
Yeah.
Much more fun than you ever did studying ancient history and Bible.
I would argue I love the Bible more than they do. I would honestly argue that.
Yeah, I believe it. Now now here's the thing. They put their identity in it.
Yeah. So
So
do I.
when we're attacking
So do I.
critically, yeah, but when we are critical of it, they feel like it's an attack on themselves. And clearly we are being critical of some of the people because they're doing
I
shenanigans.
think they are attacking themselves. Attacking their own self-worth by lying to yourself.
And there you felt ambushed.
Yes. I felt ambushed. I wasn't given a full scope of what was going on. A person that was to be on that had been, I guess, watching a lot of my content over the years and made a lot of videos going against some of my personal spiritual beliefs, which is okay. It's fine. There's nothing against that. But the person that invited me over knew all about that. They knew that this person pretty much had it in for me.
So you went on a podcast where they had another guest that was going to grill you.
Yeah, going to grill me.
And you show up.
I showed up. And I tried to maintain calm and peace. I tried to be respectful. I didn't snap in this situation, to be honest with you. I kind of was a little bit in shock, and I was trying to get my word in. But the way it was being run, it wasn't a fair conversation. I felt like I was being overrun. I felt like my voice hadn't been heard. And then every time I did have something important to say, the person on the other end would have a technical difficulty. And after it happened like 5 times, I got really frustrated, and I walked out of this situation. I gave my do not consent. I said, this is not professional. Like, everything that I'm in is like this, with you and me. It's like very professional. And I felt like it didn't show me in my best light, or even the house that I went to, even in their best light. It was just so scattered and chaotic. And the person agreed, okay, yeah, no problem. But then the person decided anyway to release this footage. So it shocked me, because when you go man to man with somebody and you have a conversation and you shake hands, like we used to do in the old days, it's like your bond is your word. Your word is your bond. And in this case, it wasn't. And that really shocked me. It wasn't so much as that the content was released. It was the betrayal and the broken agreement. I felt like my voice hadn't been heard. And then every time I did have something important to say, the person on the other end would have a technical difficulty. And after it happened like 5 times, I got really frustrated, and I walked out of this situation. I gave my do not consent. I said, this is not professional. Like, everything that I'm in is like this, with you and me. It's like very professional. And I felt like it didn't show me in my best light, or even the house that I went to, even in their best light. It was just so scattered and chaotic. And the person agreed, okay, yeah, no problem. But then the person decided anyway to release this footage. So It shocked me because when you go man to man with somebody and you have a conversation and you shake hands, like we used to do in the old days, it's like your bond is your word. Your word is your bond. And in this case, it wasn't. And that really shocked me. It wasn't so much as that the content was released, it was the betrayal and the broken agreement that really hurt me to my core.
I went into the Billy and Wes discussion, and I say discussion because I don't see it as a debate. A debate is when two people agree to go over various nuances of a belief that they differ on, prepare for it with talking points for reference, and where both parties know clearly what they are entering into. And this was not that, and I think you'll see it as that too. In Billy's case, it looked much more like an ambush. And I went into this not from a state of neutrality, but thinking that Wes was going to be, this great person who was extremely polite, because this is how a friend described it to me when she sent me the video. And she was like, oh, there's a debate that took place between Billy Carson, and he was shown to be a fraud and super ignorant on all the things he talks about. And now he's suing this person, Wes, because he didn't want the video to get out. So, people wouldn't see the truth about him. And she even referenced the fact about how, polite he was, how he, will constantly say things like, oh, with all due respect, to make sure he's being as nice as possible. So that's how I entered into this. And instead of, coming to those same conclusions, I came out of it. And the longer I sat with it, the more and more the taste of it was bitter. Well, I like getting clarifications on things that are pointed out as far as historical facts go, when talking about ancient documents. But the energy in this and the energy behind Wes was very negative and cruel. It wasn't like Christianly or polite as he tried to portray. And I felt that it was somewhat like Wes was upset that other people are famous for things or had, a greater following than he does on things like biblical texts that Billy talks about that are in his wheelhouse that he calls himself an expert on. So it's like he was attacking him because of these, insecurities or envy that he has, given that Billy has, this large following and he doesn't. So I was extremely disgusted and disheartened to see the deceitful manner in which he went about this so-called debate. It was clear as day to me that he did not have pure intent entering into this, and it was a takedown mission to make Billy look ignorant and discredit him on all fronts, not just the points that he was making. And he did this also by ignoring the main talking points that Billy was touching upon, the things that I deem much more important than the, little facts that he got wrong, when there's a much greater discussion to be had in all of this. And it's one thing to not like somebody and to disagree with the things that they hold to be true. It's another thing to do and say the things he has in podcasts that follow this. And one of the clips that you're going to see following this is he's praying at the beginning of the video, giving the appearance that God is ordering the steps of it. And also putting yourself under the safety of titles like I'm a Christian, knowing people are going to be more swayed by this and blinded to the true energy behind it all when you come at it from a position like that. And I was looking for the right word for his type of style, and I found that grandiloquent was a perfect fit for it, because it seemed like he purposely uses complicated words to catch the ear of the listeners and